My roommate mocked me for being introverted and jobless during lockdown. Now I own the startup she keeps applying to. She doesn't know it's mine, but her interview's next week. I'll be watching from behind the glass. My name's Kevin, 28, male. And during lockdown, I learned two things. Silence can be loud as hell, and being mocked by the person you live with hurts more than most people realize. Back in early 2020, I had just been laid off. I was a junior UX designer at a boutique firm in downtown Seattle. They folded within a month of lockdown. I didn't have savings. I didn't have options. I just had rent to pay and a lease I couldn't break without getting sued. Enter Zoe. Zoe, 27, female, was my roommate. We met through a mutual friend at a happy hour back in 2018, and when I needed a new place, she was looking to split rent on a two-bedroom. At first, she was fun, loud in a good way, spontaneous, the kind of person who'd dance in the kitchen while microwaving soup. She worked in marketing, specifically brand storytelling for some travel startup. Always had something clever to say. People liked her. She collected people like coffee mugs. And I was the quiet one. That was always our dynamic. I was the listener, the background guy, the one who washed dishes while she ranted about clients or dating apps or how Seattle guys had zero ambition energy. She'd roll her eyes when I said I didn't go to parties. She'd drag me to brunches I hated, called me Eeyore as a joke. I laughed along with it, until I didn't. When lockdown hit, I retreated. I was spiraling. No job, no structure, applying to everything from remote data entry to Instacart shifts. And Zoe? She got louder. She didn't lose her job. In fact, her company thrived because they pivoted to digital experiences. Suddenly, she was doing Zoom presentations in full makeup while I was heating up canned chili in the background, trying not to cry over rejection emails. She'd say things like, "I just don't get how people can't adapt." Like, hustle harder, right? While sipping oat milk lattes, she postmated. Once, I found her on a Zoom call with her friends saying, "Yeah, my roommate's going through this whole jobless sad boy phase. It's like living with a ghost in pajama pants." Then they laughed. I stood in the hallway, holding the recycling bin, and I swear to God something broke in me. I didn't confront her. I just turned around and emptied the bin like I hadn't heard anything. But I had, and I didn't forget it. It got worse. She started hosting quarantine hangouts in the apartment. Her boyfriend, her coworkers, sometimes even randoms she met on Slack threads. No masks, no distancing, just loud laughter and kombucha bottles piling in the sink. She said, "Don't be such a hermit, Kev. It's good for you to see humans." She said I was pathetic. Not directly, not at first, but in the little sighs when I said I didn't want to be in the living room. In the way she'd pause her music when I walked in, only to start it louder when I walked out. In the Instagram stories with captions like "vibes only," while I was crying in the shower. One night, she found a sketchbook of mine on the kitchen table. I'd been working on an app prototype, my own idea, just a personal project to keep me sane. She flipped through it and said, "You should post this on LinkedIn. People love seeing sad, unemployed guys chasing dreams." She laughed. I didn't. I didn't touch that sketchbook again for a month. It wasn't just the comment. Hell, if it were just a comment, I could have brushed it off. But it was the way she looked at me when she said it, like she was humoring a child. Like every hour I'd spent quietly drawing wireframes, researching UI flows, mapping out something I actually gave a damn about, was a joke to her, a punchline. I started keeping my project on my laptop, password protected. I stopped leaving anything out, no notes, no sketches, nothing she could mock or dismiss. I stopped using the common areas entirely, moved my desk into my bedroom, ate in there, worked in there, lived in there. Zoe noticed. Of course she did. She liked attention, especially the kind she didn't have to earn. Suddenly, she'd knock on my door more, say stuff like, "Kev, you alive in there?" Or, "Come out, it's margarita night." I didn't respond. Not anymore. Eventually, she turned cold, passive-aggressive, dishes left in the sink for days, her music louder, leaving the front door unlocked. Then one night, late April, she had people over again. Loud, drunk, no masks. I stepped out just to grab a bottle of water, and one of her friends said, "Oh my God, it speaks," like I was some rare creature emerging from the wild. Zoe laughed and said, "Don't mind him. He's just our in-house sad startup ghost." I looked right at her, and I said, calm even, "This ghost is moving out next month." She blinked. "Wait, what? Kevin, come on. Don't be dramatic." But I was done. I didn't yell, didn't explain. I just went back to my room and messaged a friend I'd met in a virtual tech forum, Ben, an ex-coder turned startup guy who was looking for a roommate in Ballard. We'd talked a few times. He liked my sketches, thought they were marketable, said if I ever wanted to build something real, he had back-end devs and angel contacts. I moved out 3 weeks later. Zoe didn't even help carry a box. Now, here's the part I haven't told anyone yet, not even Ben. The app I'd been building? It worked. and it took off. It was a mental wellness app tailored for introverts. Quiet journaling tools, sensory-friendly design, soft animations. I called it Still. Ben helped get us a pre-seed round. I pitched it to two VCs over Zoom from my new bedroom. One of them cried, said it felt like it was built by someone who knew how it felt to be overlooked. 6 months later, we had a team of 10, a proper office. Our first brand strategist said we needed a badass digital voice to grow us socially. I laughed, but I posted the job anyway, and last week, I got the resume. I knew that tone in the cover letter, that cheeky confidence, that exact cadence. Zoe, she applied. She has no idea who owns Still, just that we're hiring, just that we're doing cool stuff in the wellness tech space. Her interview is next Tuesday, and I'll be watching through the glass wall of the conference room, anonymous, behind the scenes. For now, I didn't sleep the night I saw her name in the applicant pool. It wasn't fear. It wasn't even anger anymore. It was something heavier, like my body knew this wasn't just a resume. This was a ghost coming back, a specter of every laugh, every jab, every eye roll from across our shitty living room table. And now it was here again, dressed up in Helvetica font and buzzwords like passionate digital storyteller. Ben saw me staring at the screen. "You good?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just weird name popped up." I didn't tell him who she was. I didn't have to. The silence kind of said everything. Zoe wasn't the only one who had changed jobs. Her startup folded last year. Irony, right? The same place that grew during lockdown tanked when the investors pulled out in late 2022. From what I could tell, yes, I cyberstalked, she bounced between freelance gigs and short stints. Her LinkedIn read like a patchwork of trendy job titles and words like agile and brand resonance. But her work? Honestly, it was good. I hated how good it was. That's the part no one tells you. When someone hurts you deeply, it doesn't mean they suck at everything. It just means they suck to you. Still had grown fast, faster than any of us expected. We just signed a deal with a mid-size VC firm that gave us a longer runway and a mandate to hire aggressively. And yeah, we needed a brand person. Someone who could make quiet look cool. Someone who could take our soul and sell it without selling it out. I knew Zoe could do that, and that's what made it worse. Ben scheduled the interviews, said he'd screen everyone and bring the best three to a panel with me and Maya, our lead product designer. I didn't say anything, just waited. Tuesday came. I sat in my little corner office, glass on two sides, a potted snake plant I'd probably kill within a month, and a half-drunk kombucha I never actually liked but kept for the aesthetic. I wore a gray hoodie, nothing that said CEOI wanted to be invisible. She walked in 5 minutes early, and it hit me all over again. She looked the same, but different. Hair darker, clothes sharper, but that same walk, that same way she looked around the space like it belonged to her, like she was already imagining where her desk would go. I watched her from behind the frosted corner of the glass. She didn't see me. Of course she didn't. I was just some guy in a hoodie tapping on a laptop. Ben greeted her. She lit up, big smile, head tilt, full eye contact, classic Zoe charm. I could hear her through the wall, laughing, making herself memorable, dropping just the right industry slang. And when he asked why she applied, "I've been following Still for months," she said. "There's something different about it. It doesn't shout, it listens. That kind of emotional intelligence, it's rare." And that's when I realized something. She didn't remember me at all. She didn't recognize the app, the brand, the voice. Nothing. To her, this was just another client, another gig. To me, this was the moment I'd been building toward. She wanted a seat at this table. I built the damn table, and I hadn't even pulled out the chair yet. The next 48 hours nearly swallowed me. I couldn't focus. Not on the wireframes Maya sent over, not on the investor deck Ben needed feedback on, not even on the Slack pings that kept lighting up like the team was trying to remind me I was still human. I was haunted. Because here's the truth. I didn't want to sabotage her. I wanted her to know. I wanted her to see me. And that, God, that felt pathetic, like some school kid waiting for the bully to remember his name. But I couldn't shake it. Not after everything. Not after the night I laid in bed listening to her laugh from the living room, talking about me like I was less than nothing. Not after I stood in the shadows watching her talk about my company like it was some shiny object she just discovered. She made the final cut. Ben dropped the list on my desk Thursday morning. 3 strong contenders. Zoe's one of them, he said, sipping his coffee like he wasn't throwing a match into my stomach. "When's the panel?" I asked. "Monday. You, me, and Maya." "Cool. Great. No big deal. Just gonna sit across from the woman who humiliated me for a year and pretend I'm not the one who signs the checks." I debated pulling rank, telling Ben to cut her, but that felt weak. And worse, it felt like her. She was the queen of silent sabotage, passive digs, and performative innocence. I wasn't going to become that. I needed her to earn it. To walk in thinking this was just another job, another gig, and then realize slowly, horrifically, that she was trying to sell herself to the ghost in the pajama pants. So Monday came, and I dressed deliberately, button down, no hoodie, no laptop barrier, just me at the head of the long white conference table. Maya to my left, Ben to my right, sunlight pouring in from the floor-to-ceiling windows like some damn divine spotlight. Zoe walked in smiling, poised, confident, but the second her eyes met mine, really met mine, I saw it, that flicker, the microsecond of hesitation. Kevin? I nodded, didn't smile, just leaned back and gestured to the chair. Have a seat, she laughed awkwardly. Wow, long time. I didn't realize. Wait, are you? I'm the founder, I said simply. Her face cracked just enough to let the panic leak through. Ben looked between us. You two know each other? Zoe scrambled. We were roommates. During lockdown, that's wild. Maya raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. The interview started, and I watched her unravel. She was still good, don't get me wrong. Her portfolio was tight, her pitch rehearsed, but her voice was shaky. Her hands fidgeted under the table. She kept glancing at me like I might suddenly pull a trapdoor lever and drop her into a pit of snakes. I didn't. I just asked questions. Calm, direct, professional. What does emotional integrity mean in branding? What do you do when a client misuses your work? What's the most damaging thing a brand can do to its audience? And every time she answered, I could see it behind her eyes. The realization that this wasn't just an interview. This was me, testing her, judging her, watching her squirm. When it ended, Ben thanked her. Maya nodded politely, and I just said, we'll be in touch. She lingered at the door, turned back. Kev, can we maybe talk later? Just you and me? I didn't even look up. If it's about the role, you'll hear from HR. She stood there for a second too long, then walked out, and I swear to God, the silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Update 1. Okay, South y'all. I posted the original story 2 nights ago thinking maybe 10 people would read it and move on. I woke up to 14,000 upvotes, 500 DMs, and a Reddit inbox that looked like a crime scene. I haven't stopped reading since. Top comment was, "Burn it all down, CEO Ghost Boy," which, honestly, not a bad rebrand. Someone else said I should wear pajamas to her final interview, just for the poetic symmetry. Tempting. And to the 3 people who sent me side-by-side comparisons of her old Insta captions and our current app branding. Yes, I see it now. She was mining my work while mocking me. But the message that really hit me? Let her know. Because yeah, I realized something reading all your responses. The story isn't about Zoe getting denied a job. That's too clean, too corporate. This was always about something deeper. This was about power, about identity, about someone trying to shrink me down until I didn't take up space. And now she's asking me for room at the table I built from scraps. And Reddit? I'm gonna give it to her, but not the way she wants. HR loved her. Of course they did. She hit every metric on paper. So today I told them, offer her the job, but remote only, contract basis, no in-office access. They asked why. I said it was a cultural alignment concern, which is corporate for this chick once made me feel like dirt in my own home. She accepted, eagerly. Sent a whole email about how excited she was to collaborate closely with the brand team. Didn't even ask who was on it. So here's what happens next. She starts next Monday. Her first assignment? Brand voice audit of our original launch materials, the ones she laughed at on my sketchpad. Ben doesn't know the whole story, but Maya knows now. And she's already queued up Zoe's onboarding package with a gentle reminder, all materials were created by Kevin. I'm not hiding anymore. She's going to have to read every line I wrote, every line she once called jobless sad boy content. And when she tries to email me, I'll be there, watching, waiting, letting her wonder just how much I remember, letting her stew in every pixel of the thing she never believed I could build. And next week, we're all meeting in person. I requested it myself. Creative alignment, I said, and I'm going to shake her hand. Then hand her a mug with 2 words printed in clean, minimalist font. Still here. Let's see if she laughs this time. The mug landed in her hands like a brick wrapped in velvet. She stared at it, blinking, like maybe the words would rearrange themselves if she waited long enough. But no, they stayed there. Matte black. Sans serif. Still here. You okay? I asked, keeping my voice light. Professional. Like I wasn't standing 6 inches away from the girl who used to call me wall art with anxiety. She forced a smile. Cute mug. Part of the welcome kit, I said, gesturing at the gift bag HR had assembled. Still hoodie, branded stickers, our minimalist style guide. Everything looked soft, curated, comforting, exactly the opposite of how she looked. We were in the conference room again. Monday morning, first team sync. I'd specifically requested it be hybrid, part virtual, part in person, so Zoe would have no excuse not to show. She'd walked in 20 minutes early, of course. She always liked to stake out the space, establish social gravity. But this wasn't her orbit anymore. The rest of the team filed in slowly. Maya with her tablet, Ben carrying 2 coffees, the interns whispering about launch metrics. Everyone treated Zoe like just another new hire. No one knew what she'd done. Not yet. I watched her try to adjust. Smile too wide, laugh too loud. She pitched her voice into the room like a song she wasn't sure anyone remembered. I'm so excited to be here. I've been following Still since the early days. I caught Maya's eye across the table. And Maya, bless her cold, brilliant soul, said, "Oh, so you knew Kevin back then?" Zoe blinked. "We were roommates, kind of." Maya nodded. "He's our founder, you know?" Zoe smiled, strained. "Yeah, wild, right?" Ben passed me the coffee he brought me. That's startup life. Small world. But Zoe wasn't listening anymore. She was staring at the agenda on the wall, the project titles, the timelines, slowly realizing she'd have to build on what I made, pitch in on the things she mocked into the ground. First assignment? Rewriting our onboarding emails. I sent her the brief directly. It started with a line I'd written during lockdown, one that still sat at the top of our welcome flow. "You're not broken. You're just quiet." And that's still allowed. She read it 3 times. I saw her lips move. I wanted to say something then. Wanted to remind her of that night she waved my sketchbook at me like it was a prop in a community theater joke, but I didn't. Instead, I said, "We write from experience here. Voice comes from truth." And I watched her flinch like I'd slapped her with her own Instagram caption. That's when she started spiraling. Not dramatically. Not yet. But it was in her hands. The way she kept adjusting her sleeves, the tremor in her voice when we broke into brainstorming groups. She pitched an idea, and Maya shot it down. Calmly, logically. Zoe laughed, said, "No worries, it's all part of the process," but her knuckles were white against the edge of her laptop. And then she made the mistake. In the middle of a live doc edit, she typed, "Let's lean more playful here, like, we don't take ourselves too seriously." I replied in the document, public comment, "No emotion. Still is for people who've been laughed at, mocked, underestimated. Playful can feel like betrayal. Let's anchor in empathy." The cursor froze. So did she. I looked up. She was staring straight at me now. And for the first time since this all started, I smiled. Not cruel, not smug, just still here. By Wednesday, she was unraveling at the seams. It started subtle. Delayed replies, typos in Slack, a weirdly defensive tone in our group thread about brand authenticity. She started using phrases like, "As someone with years of storytelling experience," and "I've worked with tougher clients," like she was trying to remind us all she belonged here. No one pushed back, but she knew I saw it. She started avoiding me during calls. Wouldn't make eye contact, would answer Maya's questions but never mine. Once I asked if she could iterate on a line that felt too polished. She said, "Right, because raw and moody is Still's whole vibe, I guess." It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. Like the bitterness was leaking out through the cracks in her voice. And then came Thursday morning. We were hosting an internal share-out for our next product update. Zoe was supposed to present a new tagline for the Calm Loop, our guided breathing tool. It's one of our signature features, designed for introverts who don't want chirpy wellness pep talks. Just breathing. Just quiet. Zoe pitched this. "Let's get loud about calming down." The room went dead. Maya coughed. Ben blinked. I tilted my head. "You think we should get loud?" Zoe smiled tightly. "It's ironic, bold, memorable." I stared at her. "Still isn't ironic. We don't talk down to pain. We don't make jokes about overstimulation. That's kind of the entire point." Her smile flickered. I didn't let it go. "Would you have used that line back in 2020, when I was jobless? When you were laughing in the other room while I built this in silence?" The air went razor thin. Ben looked between us. "Wait, what's going on?" Zoe stood up, hands shaking. "You're seriously still on that? That was years ago. We were roommates. I was joking. I didn't think you were actually hurting," I said. "Yeah, you didn't think." She looked at the table, then at me, and she cracked. "Right there in front of the whole team. I didn't know you were going to turn this into some revenge play. Jesus, Kevin, you're acting like I ruined your life. I was 26. We were all going through it. You think I don't have regrets?" No one said anything. No one needed to. She stormed out, left her laptop open. Slack still pinging. Mug still sitting beside her with "still here," staring back like it was watching her unravel. Maya turned to me slowly. "Was that the meltdown? Or just the first wave?" I didn't answer, because I knew it wasn't over. And sure enough, later that night, she posted a vague Instagram story. "Funny how some people never let you grow. Maybe they're still just bitter ghosts in pajamas." Over a black and white photo of a still sticker, she tagged the company account. And that, my friends, that was her last mistake. Update 2. Oh, Reddit. Buckle the hell in. So, last time I left off, Zoe rage posted an Insta story subtweeting me and tagging our company account. Full unhinged vibes. Black and white photo. passive-aggressive caption. The whole bitter ghost in pajamas line, which, gotta say, was unintentionally poetic. But here's what she didn't count on. 1. Our social media manager sees everything. Liam, who runs our brand socials, messaged me at 6:08 a.m. the next morning. Hey, did Zoe mean to tag us in her personal meltdown? I opened the story, read it once, read it again, let out the kind of slow laugh that makes your ribs ache. Then I told HR on 2. She violated our branding code of conduct. Still isn't some chaotic startup where people can throw tantrums online and expect zero fallout. We have guidelines. She signed them on day 1. And rule number 4, do not post or tag still in any personal content that could be interpreted as hostile, mocking, or in direct conflict with our emotional values. This wasn't just a bad look, it was a documented breach. HR scheduled a meeting. 3. I didn't attend, but I did write the agenda. They kept it clinical, respectful, no screaming, but they asked her point blank what the story meant, why she tagged the company, if she felt she could continue in a professional capacity under leadership she had publicly mocked. Her answer, I just thought it was funny. You guys take yourselves way too seriously. No remorse, no ownership, just arrogance wrapped in irony. So we let her go. 4. But here's the part Reddit's gonna love. That story, the one where she called me a bitter ghost in pajamas, we printed it on a canvas. It now hangs, framed, centered, above the still relaxation room, right next to the plant wall and the plush floor cushions. In delicate cursive, white on black, bitter ghost in pajamas, former employee. The whole team knows, and they love it. We call it the wall of unintentional wisdom. It's a reminder of who we are and who we won't be. Oh, and one more thing. Remember that old sketchbook she mocked? The one she waved like a joke? I scanned it, and we're releasing a limited edition journal this fall, hardbound, textured cover. Inside the first page, a dedication. To the ones who underestimated us. We were never quiet, you just weren't listening. She gave me the best branding moment of my career. I just gave it a logo. Stay soft, Reddit. Stay sharp. Zoe didn't go quietly. Of course she didn't. The day after HR cut ties, she blew up my inbox. 6 emails, 3 voice notes, 2 DMs on my personal Instagram, which I hadn't used in a year, and, because this is Zoe we're talking about, a LinkedIn post so vague it practically screamed, I'm spiraling. The emails started professional. Hey Kevin, I'd appreciate a direct conversation. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Then got defensive. If you're trying to embarrass me, congratulations. But this is your brand you're tarnishing, not mine. Then came the guilt trip. You know what I was going through back then. I was scared too. I just handled it differently. And finally, rage. You act like I destroyed your life. You're just mad I didn't worship your little nap app while you were sulking in sweatpants. I didn't reply. Not to any of them. But the LinkedIn post? That one made the rounds. Tough week. Got blindsided by a company I believed in. Sometimes when leadership builds a brand around quiet strength, what they really mean is fragile egos. Still grateful for the lessons. On to the next. 2 hours later, one of our junior devs slacked me. Yo, is that about you? Then Liam, should we clap back? I could post a meme. Something tasteful but devastating. I told them both no. We weren't gonna stoop. We were gonna glow. Because here's the thing. Zoe wasn't the villain because she was loud, or confident, or ambitious. She was the villain because she thought other people's silence made them weak. She thought I was weak. But now she's screaming into the void, and I'm watching our app get featured in a calm tech journal with the headline, Stillness Speaks, the app that doesn't yell to be heard. We passed 250,000 users last week. Apple reached out for a feature. And the journaling module she mocked? It's now our highest retention funnel. So while she's out there rewriting history, I'm here rewriting code, expanding the features, hiring 2 more product leads, sending out thank you letters to our early backers, one of whom literally wrote, this app made me feel human again. I used to sit in my bedroom while she laughed in the next room, wondering if I mattered. Now I watch strangers write reviews saying, still changed my mornings, and I don't wonder anymore. She gave me fire. I built a furnace. She gave me silence. I made it sing. Let her post. Let her scream. Let her be loud. We'll be here, still. Yesterday, I walked past our conference room and saw someone crying. Not loud sobs, not messy, just quiet tears. A new hire, Julia. She'd been with us 2 weeks. First tech job. First time working outside of her bedroom in years. I asked if she was okay. She looked up, eyes red, and said, I didn't think there were places like this, where it's okay to be like me. That wrecked me. Because that was the point. Not revenge, not the mug, not the framed quote on the wall. That was all noise. What mattered was that someone real, felt safe enough to cry in our space and not apologize for it. After she left, I sat at the edge of the room, right where Zoe stood during her interview. Same angle, same sunlight. I thought about that version of me, sitting in the dark during lockdown, hearing her laughter echo down the hallway, trying not to let it confirm every terrible thing I believed about myself, about how I was too soft, too quiet, too slow, too much of a nobody. Then I looked out at the office. Ben was pacing near the window, pitching something to a developer. Maya was sketching on her tablet, humming under her breath. Liam had his AirPods in, editing launch graphics. People, energy, momentum, a real thing that existed because I didn't quit. I didn't scream. I didn't storm out. I didn't fight fire with fire. I sat still and built something. Zoe's gone now, out of the news cycle, out of our Slack channels. She unfollowed every account with our name on it, deleted the story, locked down her socials. Some people say she's freelancing again. Some say she's trying to start a podcast. I don't care. She was never the story. She was the noise before the music. Still is more than an app now. It's a movement, a product, a culture, a declaration. You don't have to shout to be heard. I used to think silence was weakness. That being introverted made me less. That ambition had to look like charisma or suits or 5 a.m. hustle posts. But it doesn't. Sometimes it looks like sitting alone with a sketchpad no one believes in. Sometimes it looks like logging off instead of clapping back. Sometimes it looks like building a company for the people who were never the loudest voice in the room. Zoe mocked me for being jobless, introverted, invisible. And now, she can't stop looking for jobs. Still here, Zoe. Still soft, still building, still winning.